Hey, as I promised, I've got another amazing guest for That Shero Life podcast. Her name is Ashley Holmes. I love this because it definitely resonates with me personally, and I'm sure it's going to resonate with a lot of you other women out there who may be in midlife, who may be perhaps advanced maternal age, trying to do this, or have done this, and you just feel the journey. You feel it. So Ashley Holmes is the CEO and founder of Holistic Fertility Coach, Inc. She supports women trying to conceive to nourish themselves from the inside out and create a fertile foundation within. She is passionate about meeting women where they are at in their fertility journey and offers the energy medicine that allows them to take their health, healing, and happiness into their own hands. Welcome, Ashley, to That Shero Life podcast.
Thank you for the warm welcome. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. We got to chat a bit before the recording, and I think this topic is so important. I mean, as a mom myself who went through fertility stuff, I think it's so important. So I want you to share with the women listening, one, how did you start on this path and decide this is what I need to do? Tell us about yourself and your story.
Sure, I feel my path chose me, and it was really my role to step into service and to support women who are in the position that I was once in, because I know that it can be really heart-wrenching and heartbreaking to be going through this on a monthly basis. And I did myself and went to a fertility clinic over a decade ago and was blessed with twins, but also had unexplained infertility and walked away with no answers and thinking that I could not conceive on my own. And that simply wasn't the truth. When I landed on my yoga mat years later and began to bring mind, body, and spirit back into balance and alignment, I was able to conceive easily and naturally and quickly without outside medical intervention. And so, really offering what the traditional medical world doesn't give us when we seek support from them, and offering that to women, whether they're using the clinic or not, because this is knowledge and information that is going to help you on your fertility journey, but also in your life journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so you've got children of your own, obviously. And when you went through this the first time, you went through the clinical route, what do you think mentally was, and not just mentally, so it's the body, mind, spirit connection. What do you think you felt or experienced differently the second time around when you said you got in your yoga mat, right? And I'm sure you incorporated a lot of other principles of wellness, of spirituality. What was different? What was going on that you can share with someone else?
Really, a realization of how disconnected I was. There was no connection with mind, body, and spirit. There was a complete disconnect the first time around, and really realizing that and having a spiritual awakening on my mat of I was unconsciously almost creating a reality I didn't want from a place of my subconscious mind, and really realizing that the reality that was playing out before me could be changed, that I am the creator of my reality, and that there was a lot of healing and nervous system work that went alongside of that in order for this to be able to happen, and to give myself permission to feel, because there's a lot of guilt and shame, not game. It's not a game. A lot of guilt and shame that goes along with the fertility journey. And a lot of women come to me feeling broken or like they need fixing. They don't feel whole and complete as they are. And there really is just a relationship that needs to be formed with yourself that is unshakable and confident in who you are in the moment, whether you are conceiving or not in the present moment. And that is really hard for us to sometimes accept and be able to bring peace to when we're trying so hard.
Oh, I could not agree more. Because if, and right now speaking to, all of the women out there who may be trying, who are thinking about trying, who've just gone through trying, the TTC, as they say, is it's a it is when you said game, I there is it's a head game. It can get in your head. I know that was like guilt and
Oh,
shame put together. It's, it's, and maybe it was like a Freudian slip, but it's a head game that then
yes.
soaks into the rest of your body and your spirit. And every month you can get like you get caught up in it. And
Yes,
these, yeah,
absolutely.
rising and falling emotions. And so with the work that you do, when a woman comes to you and I've been there feeling like I must be broken. Like there's something wrong with me. Why can't I do what all these women out there are doing? And like I want this child, you know, why am I being denied? Like there's all these kinds of things that not just physically, you're wondering, am I unworthy of a child? Why is the universe denying me a child? Why am I not good enough? Why is my body not like there's all these things that get in your head. And so when a woman comes to you kind of in that headspace, because I think that's, where a lot of us probably are coming in from that headspace. We know the body's not following, but the headspace. What do you what do you do? like where do you start with a woman like that?
I think it's really important to start with our thoughts and to realize that our thoughts can just be a thought, but we amplify them and we add an emotion to them, right? And it's really just that awareness of, and that's why meditation is so helpful, awareness of our thoughts without judgment and without criticism. And when we can allow them to flow through us without attaching to them, without having these expectations. I'm not saying that it's easy, it's a practice, but often these are not habits that have been instilled with us or things that we have learned to do. And it is so transformational to be able to detach from these thoughts and not get so wrapped up and caught up in them and have sort of a downward spiral every single month, to be in a place of more equilibrium and a place of more harmony within, and have everything feel more balanced and aligned so that every month isn't so devastating and so heartbreaking when you are trying so hard. And it's great to have someone to support you, to be there for you in those tough moments, because your partner, as much as they love you and they're there for you, they're in it with you. And it's an unrealistic expectation I had on my own husband was, I wanted him to be my everything and anything, but they're in it with you. So to have someone who can hold space for you and allow you to just be and move through what you
Mhm.
need to move through is so powerful.
I think that part you said, having someone outside of this trying to conceive peace that you and your spouse are actively doing. Because I know for me, who could you talk to? That was like you don't want to share this painful secret with your friend or your like people you meet, like who did you talk to about it? So I know for me it was holding a lot of it, just like suffering in silence. And
Yes, there was so much suffering and silence. And that was me the
yeah,
first time around.
yeah. And so I think what you're saying is, yeah, having someone that one understands what that suffering is like. So you've been there, Ashley, you've lived it. But also having tools to say, okay, and having the empathy to say, okay, we're going to keep going. This is possible, like to help a woman get back into that right headspace so that she can align
Mhm.
her thoughts with her body and everything's working together. I mean, I think about it like, would I have not taken 6 years to conceive our son if I wasn't doing it all alone and having to manage everything and going through that roller coaster, as I called it, every month, like, and then the random friend, are y'all trying for another one? Are you guys going to have a baby? And you're like, if you only knew, but I'm not going to tell you.
Yes, there is so many things that are spoken and said that really just shining that light of awareness of it's really no one's place to be putting that out there, but also you don't have to take that on, right? You don't have to sort of embody these things that are hurtful or that trigger you, or, it really is important to place sort of an energetic bubble around yourself when you're in that space and place where you kind of have that around you going into your day, day in and day out, and that everything is just sort of bouncing off of you and you're not taking that on, because it's a lot to take on and you don't want to be leaking your energy out to all these people that don't really deserve your energy in the first place.
That's a good point too. Preserving and protecting our energy. Now, I know that you do meditation, yoga, you're yogi, the Ayurvedic, and I'm not as familiar with that. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about that. I'm a Reiki as well, so I understand that, but our listeners may not. So just talk a little bit about like those different practices that you incorporate into how you work with women, because some other women may be curious about what were those things I listed when I said your when they read your bio.
Right. Yes, that is fair. And I want to just start with the yoga piece because we may have a preconceived notion of yoga's hot and fast and quick moving, and that has a space and place. But the yoga that I teach and give to my clients is yin yoga, which is very similar to going to acupuncture for fertility, in that you are opening up your meridian lines in the same way as if going to
Mm.
acupuncture. And for myself, needles and me are a no thank you, and like one more appointment, no thank you. But this is something you can do from the comfort of your own home, and I think there's so much to be said that you don't have to try to fit in another thing externally, that you can make that time and space for yourself in your own home. And restorative yoga I offer as well, because it is just so deeply healing and resting for your whole state of being and your nervous system, because you are so highly stressed. You are releasing stress hormones endlessly on this fertility journey, and we need to be releasing relaxation hormones, and we need to be coming out of fight or flight mode into rest and digest mode. And so there are meditations, there is chakra balancing, I offer Reiki. And the Ayurvedic piece is really important because it's the sister science to yoga, and that comes into nourishing yourself optimally. We all have a dosha, whether we're vata, pitta, or kapha, and we really need to learn how to work with our body and in harmony with our body, instead of what may be a fad or a diet or a trend in society. So I'll use myself for example. I am a pitta, so that means I'm primarily composed of water and fire energy. And so that is why I was a hot yoga teacher for the longest time. But that draws me further out of balance. Eating spicy, hot food throws me further out of balance. It's learning to work with your body in a way that honors it, and that you are getting the most nutrition from what you are consuming versus what is deemed healthy or unhealthy. So it really
Mm.
is just ancient wisdom that has been around for a long time in the East that perhaps we're not familiar with in the West, but it really is a transformative way of living in harmony with the seasons, with the rhythms of life, with the rhythm like your sleep cycle, your daily routines, all of these things that we sort of take for granted or don't place very much importance on really do impact our health and well-being.
Wow. And so for someone who may not understand what Reiki is, just briefly, would you describe at least how you practice Reiki? Because I know that some of us practice it differently.
I offer it. Obviously, this is not an in-person thing, but Reiki doesn't have to be in person. I can
Mhm.
send you life force energy and help you to clear and purify your life force energy so that you're feeling like your optimal self again, and to just move anything that is energetically sort of blocking you in the present moment. And my clients really love it. And if they're like in a crisis kind of a moment or something, it's very easy to just take the intentional time and space to just send them some loving, kind Reiki energy to just help them to heal and to feel that support when perhaps
Mhm.
they're not able to give that to themselves in the moment.
Thank you. Thank you for just helping people understand what those were. I want to go back to this concept of culture, society, and infertility, and kind of the expectations that we have in our society around maybe people just not being aware. Like until you have been trying to conceive, you're probably not aware that it doesn't just happen like the textbook said. It's not like, and then boom, you're pregnant, because, they say it's
There
supposed to just happen, but that's not how it always happens.
There are so many misconceptions I think that we all have learned from an early age. And there really needs to be more education to future generations moving forward about birth control, about fertility, about our periods. They're not meant to be painful. And if they are, and you are really struggling every month, that is really a sign and a signal to change and work with that energy and that dynamic in your body, because your body is meant to be living in a harmonious state. And if it's not, and you're experiencing pain, that's showing up for a reason.
And so with understanding, like if someone's just starting their journey, they've decided, hey, I think I want to have a baby. And they're just starting out. They haven't reached that period where they typically say 12 months of trying to conceive without getting pregnant then you need to go to the doctor. Um, but in that first year when it's still normal, when you're still just trying, what would you say to someone just to help them not have to go beyond that year and go into that truly mind state of, is it ever going to happen? Like how do you start building that fertile ground so that they don't get to that point where they're stressed out even worse?
I think it's very important to note that, and why I have set up my program for 4 months, and then you can renew monthly thereafter if you want to be seen through your first trimester or whatever the case may be. Is that what we do now affects our egg quality 3 to 4 months from now. So to really be intentional and mindful of
Hmm.
your stress and your energy and your nourishment and your sleep, and all of these things play a huge role in how your systems are functioning on a day in and day out basis. And it's really an invitation to get to know yourself at a deeper level, because often we aren't even taught about our period having phases and things like that. And there is a phase to, slow down and rest. And we're not meant to be going full speed ahead all month through our cycle. And there's so much of a yang energy in society, in our culture, in the way that we approach life. And that's why it's so important to bring in this yin dynamic and to have this balance, because oftentimes we just keep going thinking that trying harder is going to reap the result that we want.
Hmm. So you would say basically, I heard slow down.
Yes.
Slow down and pay attention to what you already have going on and kind of get yourself
Definitely.
in alignment before you start trying.
I would love it if people were coming to me, at the beginning of this process versus almost when they're at the stage to give up or throw in the towel, or have been so heartbroken along the path that they're really in a sad, lost place. And
Hmm.
I really hope that the conversation can be, and light can be shed upon it, that there is so much that we can do for ourselves, and to really shift that locus of control from external to internal, and focus on the things that you can control on a day in and day out basis, versus all of the things that you do not have control over, and to let those things go and to surrender and to find peace in the moment, no matter what that moment is. And it's easier said than done, but it is a practice.
You're right. You're right. It is a practice. And, to any woman who's literally perhaps going through this right now, it is a practice, like how you treat your body, how you treat your spirit and use, tools like Ashley has shared, and perhaps working with someone who can keep you grounded when you're ready to. I just, I remember my own story, and I'm going to just share it briefly because just, because somebody might say, oh, Ashley is just talking about this because it's what she does. I don't, work necessarily with women trying to conceive and on the fertility journey, but I had my own with my daughter. It was at that 12th month. I literally had an appointment with the doctor to get checked out because nothing had been happening, and I've been experiencing heartbreak and this sense of failure month after month for 11 months. The week I was supposed to go in for my appointment, I got my pregnancy test, positive pregnancy test. And so that appointment got changed to a pregnancy confirmation test. So years later, I was remarried, and my husband and I we've been trying, and nothing was happening. And, I was going through this emotional roller coaster for months, and then it became years. And then it would take some time just to like not live month to month. Because what I realized is when you're going through this for a long time, for me, my life paused. Like I was afraid to
Mm-hmm.
plan out too much in the future because what if? And I realized that I wasn't living because I was like, oh, I don't want to plan, something that's going to be more than 9 or 10 months out because I don't know. And definitely not like a year or two out. Matter of fact, I wasn't sure if like planning 6 months out. What if we got lucky? And so my life was this fragmented, like very much in the moment, which can be good, but very much difficult to say, what's my future look like? And so we would take breaks in between there and just like take 6 months off and just be ourselves again and not this, couple who's trying to conceive. And I saw like the emotional waves that came in with that so much. And it was only in 2009, I became a Reiki practitioner. I did Bachelor of Spiritual Healing course. I did chakra therapy, Reiki, intuitive development, a couple other courses. And I started, of course, you work on yourself whenever you do something like that. Um, and it was very, it was very difficult still, but didn't realize I had to heal from my first husband until I did that healing through my spiritual practices. Because he'd said some things that, and words are very powerful, the words that we say to ourselves and the words that we receive from others and externally. And I didn't realize how powerful those words were. They were almost like, if it were anything else, perhaps a curse on me. Like, and I had to heal from all of that before I could hold a child in that space. And when you talk about like creating a fertile foundation within, I I truly believe that is so important because until you have that foundation, no matter what you put in there,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be difficult for it to take root, especially when you're especially when you're trying. It seems like it's like this. Oh, you're trying, but this ground in here is just not friendly. So yeah, I just wanted to let people know this this is very real. I don't do the kind of work Ashley does, but it's very real. And if you are going through something like this is my public service announcement. One, if you are personally going through something like this, do not feel like you have to go through it alone. It is hard enough. It is
Mm-hmm.
hard enough to go through it alone. Get help. Get help from someone. Maybe it's Ashley. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But get help. Reach out. don't feel like you got to suffer in silence, because your mental health, over time, your mental health is impacted, your quality of life is impacted. And I'm speaking from personal experience. And you don't have to do it on your own. And if you can shorten that time frame by getting everything in alignment, yeah, do that. Do that. As I mentioned, mine are 12 and 21, and that was not the plan for them to be that far apart. But because of secondary fertility issues, which, basically there was no reason that they could point to that I was not conceiving, and I was literally
Mhm.
ready to just throw in the towel. I was like, I am giving it 2 or 3 more months and I'm done. I'm not putting my life on hold anymore. And then he came the next month. But that's that's the universe working. But you know what I had to do? I had to get out of my head about it. And I had to have a sense of freedom about it. And I had to change my whole headspace. I was like, I feel great now. There's no reason you're not here. I have to live. And he's like, all right, I guess let it
Now
come
is the
through.
time.
Now's the time. I'm like, it's about time. It's about time. Yeah. But I had to say that because, Ashley, she does this and she helps other women. And as you can probably tell, I think this is very important because, I was one of those silent sufferers who, even, you don't want to burden your husband because, like both of y'all can't be in this headspace. Like, so a lot of times we just keep it to ourselves, and, but yeah, don't suffer by yourself. Don't do it alone.
I thank you for sharing so openly and honestly. And I think it's so important for people to not suffer in silence because I did that as well. And my husband knew I was impacted, but I don't think he knew the deep level and the soulful level that it truly was hurting me at, and how much of a toll it was taking on me month after month. And I didn't express those things because I don't even think, because your fifth chakra is related to your sacral chakra, where your reproductive organs are housed, I don't even think I could have voiced those things if I wanted to at that time and place, because everything was not in balance. And,
Mhm.
for myself, the reason that, and when I did conceive my twins finally, was when the doctors had said, well, this should have worked by now. We're moving on to the next protocol. And I internally took that as, well, I'm doing something wrong, or something's wrong with me because I'm doing everything you're telling me down to an art and a science. So why isn't this working? But also, the pressure was off. I still had the medication, but the pressure was off because it wasn't working. And so when the pressure was off, we really have to be mindful and know how much stress and pressure we are placing upon ourselves when we're going through this process.
Mm-hmm. And that's interesting that you mentioned the pressure being off. And I think when you talked about slowing down, taking it easy, that yin approach, that restorative approach, getting back to like that center, that work that you do, like meditation, like coming to terms with like, this is me. And then when you're in alignment with yourself, it's like then you can have that ground that is more accepting of life and those
Yes.
miracles. Yeah.
Definitely being in a state and place of being open to receive. And I know you may be thinking, well, I am, but are you? Because if that was the case, then would you be experiencing right now? So oftentimes our mind and body, we may think something or the doctor may say something, but it may not be the truth. So it's really important to find your own truth and to be connected to
Mhm.
what is going on inside of you. And I really feel like it is just the deepest opportunity for you to grow you will grow so much through this process, whether you really want to or not. It is going to force you to, and to embrace growth and focus on the growth that you are doing versus the baby. You know, we all have like this vision of this baby. And I feel like that's why I was so abundantly blessed the first time around, was that I was just like, I was just all in. I just thought I can't love children this much and not have my own.
No.
Just for me, those two things
Mhm.
didn't, go together. And I didn't know about energy and I didn't know about alignment, but our attention and our energy flows to where we put our thoughts and what our intentions are. And
Mhm.
I feel like I was blessed abundantly for that. And even though at the time I didn't consciously know, but I did on another level.
Right. A part of you knew and connected into that knowing. And I would almost challenge anyone who's trying to do this. You might say, well, how do I just know? How do I just, you know, get calm? How do I just get into alignment? And like you said, it's a practice. You got to practice certain things. So if you had to tell people one or two things, because imagine that they are not in that space. They're still in that headspace month to month that we've been in. What's one or two things that they can do to just move the needle in that direction of that baby coming into the direction that they really want to be in? Something that they can do for themselves.
I always say that, and it's a daily practice for myself as well, to do something for your mind, body, and spirit daily. And what that looks like for you can be unique to you, but for your body, move your body in a way that you love day in and day out. If you don't love going to the gym, then don't force yourself to go to the gym because it's good for you. Do something that you love, move in a way that you love. There are so many options available to us. And I think we just have to find harmony with what works for us. I don't do hot yoga anymore, but I still do yoga every day. We can always show up for ourselves and make that conscious choice to choose our health and well being. And for our mind, it's very important, I think, to either have a meditation practice or to brain dump at the end of the day and to get those thoughts out of your mind onto a piece of paper. They never need to be read again, burn it. It just releases that so it's not weighing on you and you're not taking that into the next day, especially when it's been a tough day or a tough week or a tough month. And for our spirit, I find that finding that inner joy, that inner spark that makes you feel like you, that is your divine connection to yourself, is so important to have for yourself on a day in and day out basis, and to have what lights you up inside. And that can be unique to you, and that is yours.
So moving in a way that you love, connecting, doing something mindful, meditation or brain dumping, and then finding your inner spark, your joy.
Yes,
Would that be about
absolutely.
right?
That is right.
Wonderful. And I would not agree more as a wellness person. That's how I got to be in the place I am right now. And body, mind, spirit connection, and starting for me in the body. And I think if you are trying to conceive, if you're trying to go through this fertility path, you're already in your body. You're already there. Start where you are, and then talk to somebody who can help you not lose the other parts of yourself in the process so that you stay grounded and you
Yes.
stay yourself. Because yeah, I understand personally. Ashley understands, and it's real. So don't think that you are alone in this. Don't think that am I the only woman who's going through this? You absolutely are not. And it's not
No.
just women in forums who, that like we are real women right here who have also gone through the difficult journey of trying to bring a child into this world. And so you are not alone. You don't have to suffer alone. You don't have to suffer in silence. And you too can have you can have that miracle that you're hoping and waiting for?
I think that if you think that this won't work for you, it will work for you. And I promise, even if it doesn't result in a baby, you will be better off than the state and place that you are in now, because that is the intention of an holistic health and healing, is that you are feeling your best and you are in a better frequency and energy and vibration than when we initially meet. And it doesn't mean that when you're done working with me that the baby's here yet, but it doesn't mean that the baby isn't coming either. It just
Mm-hmm.
means that this was a part of your soul journey. And one of the things I also offer is just knowing that the karma for yourself and the karma for your baby, those are things that play into this as well. And there are parts of it that you can control, and there are parts of it that you can't. And we all have our own divine path and our own experiences that we are meant to encounter on our lifetime. And it really is just an inner knowing and an acceptance and a trusting of you are exactly where you're meant to be, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment.
Mm. Thank you for that. Thank you. So this is the point in the podcast when you get to share how people can find you, connect with you, get anything you have to offer, all of that good stuff. Share all your socials, everything like that. And I get to bring forth a message, a mini message. And I think you said, do you want a message for yourself, Ashley, or do you want me to give a message to the general audience? Sometimes it's a blend,
I have a
depending.
message for
Okay.
me, for all, whatever feels in alignment, whatever comes
Whatever
through for
comes.
you.
All right. Well, you do your thing and share what you have, and then I will bring forth this message and share that.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I would love to welcome you into the Holistic Fertility Coach Facebook group. If you are currently trying to conceive and are looking for a community for support and to be welcomed as you are for where you're at. And they are many offerings inside of my community for you to help you on your journey and on your path. If you are looking for health and wellness, I have free yoga classes on the health and wellness platform Vibely. That's Bibly. You can do yin yoga or hatha yoga or yoga nidra meditations. You can receive Reiki from me. And you can also look into my one-to-one coaching. And I welcome you to just connect with me on socials. You will find me anywhere with a baby and a lotus flower, because without the mud, there's no lotus. So if you're in a dark place right now, please reach out. Please know that you're not alone. And I would love to connect with you. And sometimes just feeling seen and heard is enough for you to have a fresh perspective and to get out of that place of feeling stuck if that's where you are in this present moment. So you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, and I would love to welcome you into my community as well.
Ooh, thank you, Ashley. Thank
You're
you very much.
welcome.
So I just brought forth a message, and I write in chicken scratch when it comes through, so I have to just read it so I can make sure I can read it. And this is a general message, but it is around children coming into the world. Okay, so this is what I received. There are many children waiting to come, but seeking parents who are aligned energetically with a new way of being. This is for children who are seeking to be led. And that word led is, as parents, we lead our children, we guide our children. We're seeking to be led by those with greater love and light to not only be healers of the world, but holders of the next generation.
Wow. I have
So
goosebumps and tears in my eyes. It's so
that is what I
beautiful.
received. Thank you. And when I was receiving that, one of the things that popped in my head is that there are so many people who before they can truly welcome a soul to love, they must first have love for themselves. And so that
Mhm.
love and light must start from within. So first loving yourself so that that love then pours forth, so that you have enough love to lead and love these special children coming in and to be part of the healing of our world. So I hope you receive
Wow.
that with love and light. And I think that's
I love
important
that.
for, thank you, important for your work, Ashley, as well, because I think you may start seeing a different kind of woman. And when you see that woman looking energetically at a few different things, like where's that source of love? And is it amplified enough to welcome in these children who are looking for that in particular?
Definitely. Definitely a ripple effect happens when we work on ourselves. It affects everybody in our life and the lives we bring in. And I've
Mhm.
definitely seen that in the way that I feel like I've become a conscious parent versus an unconscious parent the first time around with my twins, because it was just like survival mode purely at that time. But
I could, yeah, yeah.
really, when I conceived my son and was in the midst of my meditation training, I was like, wow, I felt like I had just this Buddha baby in me. I was just like this zen little soul. But he's got a lot of fire energy in him now.
I, well, you've got the fire, so, right? You're a fire as well.
Yeah, I'm a fire as well.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's just so beautiful to see. They
yeah,
are the perfect little mirrors and teachers for us on a daily basis, and
absolutely, yes.
reflect back to us what we need to learn and what we need to unlearn.
Oh, that was my son when he came along. His birthday is literally one day after mine, and I was like, wow, I see myself so clearly. So you don't have to do what we did. You don't have to go through
Yes,
it alone. Please, for your own mental health, and I'm saying this seriously, for your own mental health, don't do it alone. Don't do it alone. All right. So thank you all for coming to That Shero Life podcast. Thank you for listening to this through to the end. And know that more episodes will be dropping each Thursday. Again, I am your host, Bernette Sherman, host of That Shero Life. Stay who you are. Know that you are loved and you are needed. And I am so glad that you are here. And thank you, Ashley, for joining us. Take
thank
care.
you so much for having me.
Thank you.